Hello, so today we are going to see how Spring Boot works internally. To do that, I will first cover what is Spring Boot application, then how application context is created in Spring Boot, and then a very important topic, that is how auto configuration works in Spring Boot. And to explain this, I will provide a Spring Boot Kafka example. So let's begin. So how Spring Boot works? To do that, first we'll take a look at Spring Boot application, which is a very important annotation. So whenever you create any Spring Boot project, by default there would be a main class that would be annotated with this Spring Boot application. So this annotation consists of three more annotations, that is configuration, enable auto configuration, and component scan. So let's see what it is. So first is component scan, which is also called as user configuration. So what happens in this step is, this is the first phase or the first step. In this step, Spring will basically scan all the classes that are marked with any of these annotations. So say component, repository, controller, service, configuration, rest controller, etc. So Spring will basically scan all the classes which is having this annotation, and then as it has detected it, it will register this Spring managed component in the application context. So it will scan for this annotation, and whatever classes it find, it will register it to application context by creating the bean. This component scan is mostly without an argument. So if it is without an argument, it tells Spring to scan the current package and all of its sub packages. So you have to make sure whatever classes you have marked with this annotation should be in the same package or sub package of where this component scan is. If it is not, then you need to explicitly mention the package name. Okay. So first step, user configuration, that is component scan, scans all the classes marked with any of this annotation and create it as a bean and register it with the application context. Simple. Second phase, that is auto configuration phase, or second step is enable auto configuration. So in this, Spring tries to create the bean, and how it does that, it will check whether certain class files are present or certain classes are present in the class path, and also it will check whether the beans are defined by user or no, and based on that it will take a decision whether auto configuration needs to be done or no. So we are going to see this in detail in some time, but for now just understand that it will just check whether certain files are present in the class path, yes or no, if certain beans are created by user, yes or no, and based on that it will do the auto configuration. Now over here the order is very important. That means the first user configuration should take place, that is component scan, and then only auto configuration should take place. So Spring always first performs user configuration via component scan and then auto configuration via enable auto configuration. This order is very crucial, as Spring needs to know about all the beans that you have provided to make sure that it prioritizes your opinion while doing the auto configuration. Okay, so whenever the auto configuration happens, it has to make sure whether the beans that it is trying to create are already not created by the user. That is why the order is important. That is why a user configuration should be done first, so that all the beans that user want to create are registered, and during auto configuration it will check whether those beans are already created or no. If it is created, then the auto configuration for that bean will not happen. If it is not created, then the auto configuration will happen. For example, if you have already provided a data source bean, suppose you have created a data source bean and returned it, Spring will back off and not configure data source using auto configuration. As you know, Spring is an opinionated framework. So if you have provided an opinion, that is, if you have created a data source as a bean, Spring will not create the data source. It will check, okay, the user has created that particular bean, then I am not going to do that. Okay, for example, over here the data source bean. So let's look at how exactly application context is getting created. So this is the class that is having Spring Boot application annotation. In the main method, we are calling spring application.run. So if we go inside this run method, so this is a very important method. So if we go to this line, that is this dot create application context, this is where the application context is getting created. So if we go inside this is the create method which is doing that. But as you can see, this create method is just a declaration, right? You can't see any implementation over here. So to see the implementation, we'll go over here. So this is the lambda expression or a lambda function that is providing the implementation for this particular create method. As you can see, it is taking the input as web application and returning the output as application context. So what will happen over here is there is a switch which will take web application type and it will match with this case, and whatever is matching, the corresponding application context will be created. So I'll just click on this. So over here you can see there is an annotated bin definition reader and class path bin definition scanner. So these are basically responsible for scanning all our annotations and creating bin out of it. So let me also go in this servlet web server application context. In this you can see there is a method called as create web server. So here the web server is getting created. So now what will happen is this web server is created, and I'll go back. The application context will be created. This application context is returned over here, and in this way the application context is fully configured and created and can be used. Let's look at how exactly Spring Boot auto configuration works. To do that, I'm going to take an example of a Spring Boot Kafka application. So what this application does is there would be a REST endpoint, a REST controller, which takes the input in the request parameter as a message, and that message will be published onto a Kafka topic. So let's see. So this is my Spring Boot Kafka demo that I have created. Let's see what is there in the pom.xml. So in pom.xml there are two main dependencies. First is Spring Kafka for all the Kafka related dependency, and then there is Spring Boot Starter Web for all the web related dependencies, specifically the REST controller. So now let's go on to the source. So this is the controller. So in controller I'm constructing an endpoint using the request mapping and post mapping. So the endpoint is /Kafka demo app /users, and in the request parameter I'm taking in a message, and this message I'm publishing onto a Kafka topic. I'm using the Kafka template over here. Using the Kafka template, I am publishing the message onto the topic. Okay, very simple. Taking a message from the user in and request parameter and publishing that message onto the Kafka topic using Kafka template. There is one more configuration that I will show you, that is this application.yaml. So in this I have configured the properties related to the producer, that is the Bootstrap servers, key serializer and value serializer. So pretty simple, one controller, one producer, and this application.yaml, and your application is up and running. But the question is, from where is this Kafka template coming? We have not created it yet. So from where is this Kafka template coming? Looking at this, you can say that okay, it is a constructor injection, but how it is getting created, how it is getting injected? So this is auto configuration. So let's look at how this Kafka template is auto configured. To do that, I'll go to the external libraries, and there is a Spring Boot auto configure that we get when we create a Spring Boot project. By default we get this. So I'll go to the meta-inf. There is a file called as spring.factories. So Spring basically reads these files and execute all the classes that are mentioned over here. So we will specifically look at auto configure. So all the classes that are mentioned in this auto configure, below this auto configure comment, all these files will be executed by Spring. So we will specifically look at Kafka. So there is an Kafka auto configuration. So this Kafka auto configuration is responsible for creating all the Kafka related beans and auto configuring them. So it's in the Kafka package of the auto configure. So let me go over here. So as you can see, there is a Kafka package over here. Within the Kafka package, there is a Kafka auto configuration. So this Kafka auto configuration is responsible for auto configuring all the beans which are required in Kafka. So first and very important annotation is this conditional on class, which says that only if this class, that is Kafka template, is present on the class path, then only all this code will be executed. So where is this Kafka template? So if you remember, we have included Spring Kafka in our pom.xml, right? So if I go to pom.xml, this is the Spring Kafka. So let's look at what exactly this Spring Kafka has. So in Spring Kafka, we are looking for Kafka template, right? Which is there in the core package. So in the core package, we have the Kafka template, right? That means Kafka template is present on the class path. So, and this Kafka template, if you remember, we require in this producer, right? So this condition will be evaluated as true as Kafka template is present on the class path. That means that class is present. The next one is enable configuration properties. So let's look at what this Kafka properties.class is. So we'll see what this Kafka properties is. As you can see, there is an @configuration properties, prefix is spring.kafka. So whoever has worked on this configuration properties would exactly know how it works. So basically what it will do is it will try to find all the properties that start with spring.kafka and try to load them. Okay, and how it works, let's see. So for example, let me open my application.yaml. So in this application.yaml, we'll try to see how the correlation happens. Let me split this vertically. Okay, so what we are trying to do is we are going to see whether it matches the prefix Spring Kafka. So it matches the prefix. So now the producer properties should be loaded. So how exactly it happens? So we'll go in this producer. So in this producer, this properties should be binded. So if you go to build properties, in build properties, there are various properties that are mentioned over here, right? So what will happen is it will extract the values for this particular properties from your application.properties or application.yaml. For example, here it is looking for bootstrap servers. So there is a bootstrap servers over here. So it will extract the value of this particular property and set it over here. Then you have key serializer, value serializer, right? So both the properties are present over here. So it will extract the value for them and set it over here. This is how the Kafka properties is going to be populated. So let's go back now. I'll close this. So we have seen how Kafka properties is getting populated. Now the next and very important annotation over here is conditional on missing bean. Okay, which says that if Kafka template bean is present, then this code will not be executed. But if Kafka template bean is missing, right, it is conditional on missing bean. So if Kafka template bean is missing, then only this code will be executed. So if you remember, I explained previously, there are two phases, user configuration and auto configuration. And it is sequential. User configuration should happen first and then only the auto configuration. So this is the reason. So during user configuration, if user has created and returned Kafka template bean, then during this second step, that is the auto configuration, it is going to check whether that bean is present or no. If it is present, then this code will not be executed. That is, the Kafka template will not be created. But if that bin is not present, that is, if the user has not created the Kafka template bin, then this code will be executed. In our case, we have not created the Kafka template bin, so this code will be executed. So the Kafka template will be created. The argument for this is Kafka producer factory. Let's see where the Kafka producer factory is. So similar to Kafka template, even for Kafka producer factory, it will happen same, that it will check whether the producer factory is created as a bean by the user. If not, then this code will be executed. So we have not returned producer factory as a bean, so this code will be executed and default Kafka producer factory will be created. So if you remember, I have already shown you how this build property works. So this build property basically try to extract the values of all this property from your application.yaml and it will load those property values. So this is how the properties are constructed, and then eventually the producer factory will be returned as bean. And then on the Kafka template, though that Kafka producer factory is passed as an argument, then on the next step it will set the message converter. For example, if you are using Spring Message and if you want to convert it to JSON, this step will be executed. In our case, it will apply that string serializer and value serializer. Then there is a producer listener. So there is a set producer listener over here for that, which is used for async callback. So this is the Kafka producer listener. Same thing, if we have not created it, Spring will create it for us. So if I go to this logging producer listener, there is an on error, right? So this is a callback if there is any error that is happening, and the logging will take place as to why exactly it failed. So the next one is setting the default topic. So if we have not provided any topic, Spring will basically set a topic by default. And after doing all this thing, a Kafka template is returned. So Kafka template bean is written, and that is the bean that we are using over here. So the constructor injection will happen and we'll get the Kafka template. So this is how the Kafka auto configuration take place. So for example, you have created an library or utility and you want everyone to use that library. In general scenario, what will happen is everyone has to create all the classes that are required by your utility and do the configuration, which is time consuming and hectic, right? And you don't want your library user to do that. So you can create a starter. In that starter, you will have a spring.factories file. And as you can see, the auto configuration files over here, similar to that, you will have one auto configuration file in your spring.factories, which Spring will read. And in that auto configuration, as I said earlier, three major things: conditional on class to see whether the user have added your library in the class path and check for all the classes. And then if yes, then configure the properties by reading the application.yaml, and then check on the individual beans whether user has created beans. If not, then you will create the bean, and for that you will use conditional on missing bean as the condition annotation over here to check whether the beans are present or no. So now let's just run this and you will be able to see in more detail how exactly it's working. So what I'll do is I'll go to this and I'll run this. So there is a conditions evaluation report that is generated. What does it mean? So there are various conditions that executed during the auto configuration, right? If you remember, there was a condition on class, condition on bean, missing bean. So there is a report which is generated for this. Okay, so let's see. For example, let's take an example of Kafka. So there is an Kafka auto configuration. So it is for this particular class. So it is checking for conditional on class. So conditional on class over here has returned to be true. That means the Kafka template is present on the class path. So this is a positive match. Okay. Similarly, let's take a look for Kafka template. So if I scroll down, there is a Kafka template over here. So this is also under positive match, which means that Kafka template was missing. So the Kafka template bean was not created by user. That means Spring will create this particular Kafka template. Okay, so there was a positive match for that. So similarly, there are different conditions that are getting executed. So you can have conditional on bean, right? As you have conditional on class, you can also have conditional on missing class. So there are a lot of other conditions that you can put to do this auto configuration. And this auto configuration report is very useful or to troubleshoot. You can look at this positive and negative match and analyze based on what exactly has happened. So now I'm going to hit the REST endpoint that I've created and pass the message in the request parameter and see whether it is getting published onto the Kafka topic. So in background, I have already started the Zookeeper. I also started the Kafka server, and there is a console consumer that is listening to the Kafka topic that we have created, right? The user topic. So I'll change the message over here. I'll say hello and I'll send this message. Let's see the Kafka consumer. So as you can see, the message hello is getting published onto the Kafka topic users. Configuration happens same for other libraries as well, and you can also implement your own auto configuration by using a starter. I'm going to create a separate video for that on how you can create your own custom starters. Thank you.